Let's get straight to it.
I can hear my mama now. Gone, baby, pop your shit.
I can hear my mama now. Gone, baby, pop your shit. I can hear my brother right now. Fuck them niggas, talk that shit. Old gossiping ass niggas, what y'all out here gossiping about today? Since y'all love pocket watching, nigga, I did a 200 ball today.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Welcome back to Geek and News Network. I'm your host, Fetty Lotto, here to put a stain on your brain and bring you some news you can use. It's your first time running across this channel, man. Like, share, and subscribe. Let's vibe. We're about to get into something tonight, man. We're about to get into the Cointelpro, the FBI's war against black leaders. And they strategies and tactics that they use to take people down or to attempt to take people down. And are they still doing it today? Is the Cointelpro still alive and well? Or did they, abandon that plan with, back in the 70s and early 80s and all that shit, 60s? And did they leave that back then? Or are they still applying the same method right now? Or, the leaders who are out now? But let's get into this, man, without further ado, about the Cointelpro.
For decades, the United States government ran a secret domestic operation with one goal: to neutralize what it saw as internal threats. But these so-called threats weren't spies or terrorists. They were civil rights leaders, organizers, community builders, black men and women demanding dignity, equality, and justice. The program was called Cointelpro, short for Counterintelligence Program. Under the direction of FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover, it officially launched in 1956, targeting communists. But by the mid-1960s, Cointelpro turned its full attention toward the Black Liberation Movement. The FBI did more than keep people under watch. They planted informants, spread lies, used intimidation, and were involved in actions that sometimes ended in violence. Yes, this actually happened. It was carried out, recorded, and had real consequences. The stories we'll cover in this video are not just about the FBI. They're about the black leaders whose lives were disrupted and in some cases destroyed. Leaders who dared to challenge a country still gripped by white supremacy. Give this video a like to show your support. And let's begin with one of its earliest and most watched figures. A man whose belief in nonviolence made him a target anyway. Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. was arguably the most famous civil rights leader of the 20th century, and, as it turned out, one of Cointelpro's prime targets. By the late 1950s, Dr. King had risen to national prominence, advocating nonviolent resistance to end segregation. He led the 1955 to 1956 Montgomery bus boycott, and in 1957 co-founded the Southern Christian Leadership Conference to coordinate civil rights campaigns across the South. King's philosophy of nonviolence and his appeals to American ideals made him a widely respected figure, culminating in the 1963 March on Washington, where he delivered his "I Have a Dream" speech. But King's popularity and influence also alarmed J. Edgar Hoover's FBI. In the Bureau's eyes, the civil rights movement threatened the status quo, and they were eager to find grounds to undermine its leader. As early as the founding of the SCLC in 1957, the FBI began monitoring King and his associates, initially justifying the surveillance by alleging communist influence in the movement. One internal memo in October 1956 folded the FBI's ongoing surveillance of black leaders into the Cointelpro program on the premise that the civil rights movement was infiltrated by communists. Key King associates like advisor Stanley Levison and organizer Bayard Rustin were flagged, and through them King himself came under FBI scrutiny. Hoover's personal distrust of King soon grew into open animus. In August 1963, the March on Washington drew 250,000 supporters, and King's oratory captivated the nation, an event that Hoover saw as a tipping point. After that march, Hoover singled out King as a major target for Cointelpro, instructing his deputies to intensify operations against the civil rights leader. FBI Assistant Director William C. Sullivan, who led the Cointelpro section, wrote a notorious memo following King's speech. In the light of King's powerful demagogic speech,
I want to say this though, right? It's crazy how you can become a target to the United States government just because you're trying to do something for you and your people, put you and your people in a better position, that you become a target to the United States government. That's crazy, bro. This our land, first and foremost. But if you're thinking about being anything other than a second-class citizen in this country, at best, as a black person, then the FBI be on your ass. That's crazy. We need to talk about that, man. Get in the comment section. How y'all feel about that?
We must mark him now as the most dangerous Negro of the future in this nation from the standpoint of communism, the Negro, and national security, Sullivan warned. By Hoover's order, the Bureau was effectively treating Dr. King as an enemy of the state. The FBI's campaign against King was sweeping and relentless. Under Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy's hesitant approval, the FBI installed wiretaps on King's phone starting in October 1963, ostensibly for a one-month trial, but in practice it became a years-long invasive surveillance. Soon the FBI was systematically bugging King's home and his hotel rooms, monitoring his private conversations around the clock. Teams of agents shadowed King during travel. They tapped the SCLC's office phones and those of King's colleagues. Importantly, this surveillance produced no evidence that King was involved in any unlawful or subversive activity. FBI reports acknowledged that King was not a communist himself. Nevertheless, Hoover was determined to neutralize King by any means necessary. The Bureau shifted to a strategy of personal sabotage. They hoped to destroy King's reputation and influence by exposing details of his private life. By mid-1964,
Y'all heard what he just said? They purposely put things out there about this man's private life to sabotage his movement, to assassinate his character and turn his people against him. Shit that had nothing to do with, nothing. It's his personal life, this man's personal life, and they put it out there purposely to get this, a certain type of reaction from the people. Do that sound familiar to y'all? With the whole Diddy thing, the whole, who else think they did that to? Bill Cosby. Who else think they did that to? Rashad Jamal or something like that. Who else think they did that to? Pay attention, y'all. I mean, certain things that people do is, not acceptable. It's not acceptable in the culture. I get that. You know what I'm saying? But certain people, like, they cheated on their wife, or they homosexuals, or, things like that. They put out there to make a person look a certain way, to turn, your people against you, and then take away from the bigger picture. You know what I'm saying? The people start focusing more on your flaws rather than, even if you even think they're flaws, but the people will start paying more attention on what they perceive to be your flaws than the good that you're actually doing. And that was part of the tactic with Martin Luther King. And I guess it worked somewhat then, or it worked with other people to where they could still do that now. You know what I'm saying? Though Diddy in the feds, make sure certain things about his personal life is out there in the public to make people look at him a certain way. Pay attention, y'all.
FBI wiretaps had picked up evidence of King's extramarital relationships. Instead of ignoring these irrelevant personal matters, the Bureau saw an opportunity. In November 1964, just as King was to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, the FBI took the extraordinary step of sending an anonymous package to King in an attempt to blackmail him. Inside the package was an audio reel of the FBI's secret recordings, purporting to capture sexual encounters, along with an unsigned letter drafted to sound like an angry civil rights supporter. This missive has since become infamous as the FBI-King suicide letter. The letter explicitly attacked King, calling him a complete fraud and a liability, and asserting that black people would no longer tolerate such filthy, abnormal behavior. It concluded with a menacing ultimatum. King, there is only one thing left for you to do. You know what it is. You better take it before your filthy, abnormal, fraudulent self is bared to the nation. The clear implication was that King should take his own life to avoid public exposure of the
That's crazy. The FBI trying to convince King to take his own life. They try to convince King to take his own life. Let that shit sit on your brain for a minute. He was that much of an enemy? He was that much of a threat? Y'all tried to make him kill himself before y'all took him out. Y'all wanted to see if he was going to do it to himself. And y'all called, these other guys the gangsters. Who the real gangsters here, man?
tapes. The timing was calculated. The package was sent days after the announcement of King's Nobel Peace Prize, presumably to reach him before the awards ceremony. King indeed interpreted the letter as an effort to drive him to do it. But King did not bow to this vile intimidation. He told associates, "A letter of this sort will not deter me." And he proceeded to accept the Nobel Prize in December 1964. Stymied by King's refusal to back down, the FBI escalated its dirty tricks. When King would not acquiesce, FBI Assistant Director Cartha D. DeLoach initiated a media leak campaign.
That nigga like Larry Bird right there. Is that Larry Bird, Pops?
Offering the salacious surveillance transcripts to friendly journalists in early 1965. The FBI tried to plant stories accusing King of immoral conduct, hoping to splinter his support among faith leaders and donors. Around this same time, King had publicly criticized the FBI for its failure to protect black citizens from racial violence in the South, noting that the Bureau seemed ineffective against Ku Klux Klan terrorism. Hoover's response was to publicly call King the most notorious liar in the country in November 1964. This was an extraordinary public smear from the nation's top law enforcement official. Behind the scenes, Hoover continued to press his agents to find any avenue to disgrace King. Internal FBI communications candidly discussed using news outlets, ministers, sponsors of the NAACP, and others hostile to King to circulate derogatory information from the wiretaps. In essence, the FBI acted as a propaganda machine against King, supplying ammunition to his segregationist opponents to undermine his moral authority. Despite these efforts, King's stature only grew as he led the historic Selma voting rights campaign in 1965 and spoke out against the Vietnam War by 1967. But the FBI never relented. Even after King's assassination on April 4, 1968, the Bureau continued trying to tarnish his legacy. A year after King's death, the FBI was still, in its own words, attempting to furnish ammunition to opponents of King to enable attacks on his memory and to block efforts to honor the slain leader.
This is your peak.
If you got this far in the video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Let's pop. Let's get the news network, man. We going in. This topic is the Cointelpro. And, I'm just going to chop it up about that, get into some things, man. And I learned about the Cointelpro. I first heard about the Cointelpro. I was in the feds. I was in prison. And I was with guys like Suliana and Cody, who was the Shah co-defendant. I prayed. Frank James and them. You know what I'm saying? Brother Youssef from the Junior Black Mafia. I was in there with these guys and I learned from these guys. You know what I'm saying? Broadway, shout out to Broadway, Grand Chief from the Moore Size Temple of America, Broadway from Brooklyn. True from Brooklyn, Grand Chief of the Moore Size Temple of America. They had me in these classes, man, studying these guys. And exercising my critical elevated thinking. So shout out to these brothers, man, because they basically raised a lot of guys like me coming up in the system, because the Cointelpro tried to stop was for them to raise up the Black Messiah. You know what I'm saying? Guys like that, if they wasn't the Black Messiah, they was going to raise one up. So they take guys like that off the streets and they raise wars, secret wars against guys like that, guys like us. You know what I'm saying? So we need to go over things like this, man. Remember things like this. Make sure our children know things like this, because history always repeats itself. History would always repeat itself. You know what I'm saying? And when they see a certain thing going on, they see a culture moving in a certain way, they're gonna do everything in their power to try to destroy it, try to take it down, try to slow it down, and things of that nature. So let's get into the main Brown story.
At the University of California at Los Angeles, 2 Black Panthers were shot to death during a black students' meeting on the campus last Friday.
2 FBI informants in the United Slaves had shot and killed Bunchy Carter and John Huggins on the UCLA campus.
The US organization slapped a member of Black Panther Party at the time, Elaine Brown.
Was going with John Huggins, so when she told him that somebody from the US organization had slapped her, he pulled his pistol out. This is when the 2 brothers, or supposedly Steiner brothers, supposedly steps out from behind the doors and open fire and kills John and kills Bunchy.
And the FBI agent.
So you got 2 supposedly brothers that was infiltrating the Black Panthers for the FBI. Killed Bunchy Carter for trying to defend his sister. You know, they probably gonna stir the whole mess up. And you know what we gonna do? This might be a little serious, because we gonna connect all this shit, how it went from people in the political field to street people. You know what I'm saying? They got certain type of influence. You motherfuckers gonna come. And they play dirty. They play dirty. They'll get you murdered. They'll put hits on you. They'll let somebody kill you and then charge them with the murder. Knowing that it's gonna happen, they'll let somebody kill you so they can double back and charge you with the murder. You know what I mean? And whoever they got orchestrating this shit like that, they might get off. They might even get paid. It's a wicked game right here, man. Niggas better pay attention.
Who was controlling 2 informants was concerned that some white students might have been shot on campus.
The members of the US organization were taken from the crime scene with the FBI.
The government or whoever, Power, Cointel, whatever, they were able to kill a party when they killed Bunchy. When they killed Bunchy, they killed the party. We just didn't know it.
That's deep. I bet you they know it, though. They know, you know, they say you want to take out the head and the body gonna die. So the brother just said by killing Bunchy, they killed the party. That's deep. But it's something that we need to know, we need to understand, we need to study. Because guess what? If they don't know who the head is, who the tail is, who the body is, they don't know who to kill. They just know to shoot in the dark, you know what I'm saying? And they can kill a motherfucker and somebody else take their place. They can imprison a motherfucker and somebody else take their place. And you have people fighting for the cause still. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, man, people be followers, even in these pro-black or pro-whatever. Man, this is not just for black people. This is American history. Sometimes people align themselves with things, enjoying movements, whether they're good or bad, just because that's what's going on at the time. You know what I'm saying? They followers. A lot of people will follow. 85% of the population is followers. They dumb, deaf, and blind, and they followers. You know what I'm saying? So it's not they know who to attack and change the whole fucking way. You know what I'm saying? They'll change the whole tide of what's going on. Like, I kill him, then this agenda ain't gonna be pushed no more because this body of people is gonna look for something else to attach to. They know this. This shit chestnut checkers, brother.
Elridge Cleaver, the Black Panther leader who fled to Cuba to avoid being returned to jail, arrived in Algeria today to attend the Pan-African Cultural Festival in Algiers.
FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover today asserted that of the black extremist groups, the Black Panthers represent the greatest internal threat to the nation. In his report for fiscal year 1969, Hoover said the Panthers have perpetrated numerous assaults on police and have engaged in violent confrontations throughout the country.
The criminal conspiracy unit of LAPD, their mission in life was to investigate extremist groups, primarily the Black Panthers. And the FBI had a special unit called the S2 unit. They euphemistically called it their racial squad. Their focus was on the Black Panther Party. So the FBI's racial squad and the LAPD's criminal conspiracy section worked literally hand in hand in bringing down the LA Black Panther Party and its leadership, Pratt in particular.
When Bunchy Carter and John Huggins had been assassinated, Pratt became the leader of the Panthers, and now the FBI had to get rid of Pratt.
And you know what? Check out the language. He said when they became assassination, do your homework on with assassination. That ain't no regular murder. It's not something that's coincidental. It's not no bullshit. When you assassinated, just do your homework on with assassination. They assassinate leaders. They assassinate, people of a certain position, shit like that. And they call it murder. An assassination is deeper than just a murder.
Geronimo Pratt was a Vietnam veteran. He'd been a paratrooper and won many medals in Vietnam, including a Purple Heart. He trained all the Panthers in Los Angeles on how to defend the office against attack. He was the defense minister. So he was clearly somebody that the FBI was out to neutralize.
December 8th, 1969, Los Angeles, Special Weapons and Tactics. Criminal Conspiracy Section, LAPD, FBI.
The Black Panthers, as we all know, were destroyed as an organization through these illegal FBI operations. And certainly the CIA violated the privacy and the rights of thousands upon thousands of Americans through the illegal operations which they agreed to do under Richard Helms as director.
Any and everything was done to members of the Black Panther Party to destroy not only the Black Panther Party and other organizations, but to demoralize people, to discredit us in the eyes of the people, to criminalize our existence in the conscience.
By the way, this Geeker News Network got each and every comrade tell everybody rich. Like, share, and subscribe. Let's vibe. Come on, y'all. You ain't gotta watch me in public. Look, you ain't gotta watch me in public. You can sneak and watch me. As long as you watching and supporting and you learning and we growing and you guiding another comrade to y'all rich. You know what I'm saying? Whatever rich mean to you.
Consciousness and minds of the people.
It's physical violence and torture per se. There's nothing modern about it, and there is nothing sophisticated or scientific about it. It is the base against which psychological warfare has its meaning.
Today, a judge set Newton free on $50,000 bond to await a new trial.
Newton's last trial and manslaughter conviction were overturned by a higher court this year, so now he'll be tried again. And in the meantime, he is out on bail. He is back on the street. Before Newton got out of prison, the founder of the Black Panther Party sat and talked about his plans for the Panthers now.
I plan to go on.
Hey, yo, that nigga UEP Newton was bright. He was cut up like a bag of dope, right? That nigga was in the gym, so he was glowing. He just came home and was glowing.
With our expansion, and also to make even a stronger tie with the struggling people of the world, because they represent 2/3 of the people.
J. Edgar Hoover today characterized the Black Panthers as the most dangerous and violence-prone of all the extremist groups now active in the United States.
So they was more violent than the Ku Klux Klan, the Ku Klux Klan, whatever the fuck the nigga's name, KKK. They was more violent than them. They was more of a threat than the KKK.
Is it foot trying to undermine the relationship between not only myself and the leadership of the Black Panther Party, national leadership, but between the various forces within the Black Panther Party who wanted to make the Black Panther Party more responsive and democratic, and those who wanted to maintain the Black Panther Party as an extension of autocratic control of a Central Committee.
The Central Committee of the Black Panther Party, when I come out of jail, I reorganize it again. Huey and them was actually opposed to this. I says, no, we have to have a broader Central Committee. Because when I come out of jail, Huey was sitting there with him and David, went to jail, and Elaine Brown and a couple of other people and saying, this is our Central Committee. And I says, Huey, this whole supreme commander crap has got to go. And these are the private conversations I had with Huey, you know. So my point becomes, he was trying to absolutize himself.
We had felt that all the contradictions that was happening between David Hilliard and all the other people in the party and the central leadership and the breakdown in centralism and all of that would be resolved when Huey came home.
When Huey came out, Geronimo remained a member of the Central Committee.
For whatever reason, Huey, after he got out of jail, he wanted to have the total control of the party, but the way the party was set up with the Central Committee, that was impossible. Geronimo being one of the strongest personality.
He probably wanted control over the committee because he knew that somebody in there was an infiltrator. Don't forget that, bro. Somebody, and a lot of people that join these organizations, they join these organizations to infiltrate these organizations and then take these organizations down. And you don't know who they are. They say the dude that created Kwanzaa, a lot of people in our culture celebrate Kwanzaa. But the person that, I'm going to get his name too, I might do a show on him. The person that created Kwanzaa was an FBI agent infiltrating to be a part of the movement. That's a fact.
He's on the Central Committee, just had to be eliminated.
It was around this time that Elmer Geronimo Pratt was captured and branded as a agent by David Hilliard and the Central Committee of the Black Panther Party on the West Coast. Of course, this was a total fabrication. Geronimo was not an agent. In fact, the individual who pointed the finger at Geronimo and declared him an agent, Melvin Cotton Smith, was himself a police informer, an agent, who was
It's a dirty game out here, man. They play these games. You got agents pointing the finger at people, calling other people agents. Trying to get them taken, or whatever the penalty was for being an agent as far as being a part of their group or whatever the case may be. You trying to get this dude that penalty. You know what I'm saying? Geronimo Pratt, too, who was a big figure in the Black Panthers. A big figure in the Black Panthers. They even took that route to try to take him out. Pay attention, y'all. Talk back to me, man. Jump in the comments. Let me know how y'all feel about the topic. Let me know if I'm on point. If y'all think I'm wrong, but just let me know what you feel.
signed to Geronimo by David Hilliard.
A split apparently has opened in the leadership of the Black Panther Party. On a San Francisco television talk show, Huey Newton, in the studio, talked with fugitive Eldridge Cleaver, speaking by telephone from Algeria. Cleaver said a purge of Black Panther members is tearing the party apart, blamed it on David Hilliard, and demanded the ouster of Hilliard as Panther Chief of Staff.
Many of those confrontations, both on the West Coast and between the East Coast and the West Coast, happened because of the Cointelpro program, what they called Program Brown Mail. They would write to one person and sign their letter. They would write to another person and sign each other's person's signature.
And it really cracked the Black Panther Party in two by creating two factions.
All of this was happening at the same time that Huey Newton was planning his itinerary to come back east. And the government used the hysteria and the paranoia around these issues to give Huey the impression that the New York Panthers were unloyal to him.
They wrote people in my name, signed my signature, And these were crazy letters that were written by the FBI. And Jeff Fort got a letter from Chairman Fred. Of course, they thought those letters were from each other. And the tone of the letters were incendiary. Well, you're a punk. If I see you, I'm going to, shoot you. You're a coward. If you had guts, you would come.
It's crazy that this information is made available to the American public, and you still got dudes like Jeff Fort, Larry Hoover, and a slew of other guys that are not free. You know, it's still dudes that serving to the sun burn out, man, that fell under these laws and fell from shit that was directly caused by the Cointelpro. And these guys are still not free. And ain't nobody talking about that like that. Like, you got sometimes some people will say this, say that, but people need to really stand on that. Like, these guys need to be free. Like, come on, man.
I mean, it was literally an attempt by this government to incite violence.
COINTELPRO was the whole cause of the split between the different faction in the party that caused the death of Sam Napier.
In terms of the actual physical integrity and well-being of the Panther, Sam Napier might have been the most important person. The newspaper was the most important entity and tool, an institution that the Panthers had. And he was in charge of the paper.
The loss of Sam Napier wasn't just the loss of a person who was a paper salesman. It was like a spirit in the party, a strong, positive spirit that permeated the whole party. And you lost like a friend, a brother.
Robert Webb was the ranking Panther in the entire East Coast. He had the rank of Field Marshal, which was a Central Committee position. It was an underground secret rank.
The police knew who these people were. The police knew that they had orchestrated this conflict. And they gloated over it in their documents when they said that they could take credit for the murder, for Robert Webb's murder, and that they can take credit for the irreconcilable differences in splitting the Black Panther Party.
Interesting things about contacting the Nation of Islam is that I was doing research on the zebra murders before the COINTELPRO stalking started. And one of the things about the zebra murders is it was in San Francisco, and it was set up to be like a thing where it was disgruntled younger African-American type people who were just in particularly killing Caucasian people for no reason. And I really studied the zebra murders. And the network had started in prison, supposedly, by a leader, but it's very probable that a lot of people went to prison for murders they may have not committed. It might have been very probable that people did do it and are still walking the streets and somebody else got framed for it. And I remember the Nation of Islam had hired a lot of lawyers to investigate this stuff. And, when the COINTELPRO stalking started on me, it messed up a lot of my research, a lot of my progress. And so getting in touch with some of these groups.
So the COINTELPRO put him on fire for doing research on something they call zebra murders, where so-called African Americans were murdering white people. And he feels, I guess, he's saying that he feels that a lot of these guys refrain from murders that they never committed. And the real killers are walking free. What I believe is the real killers are the ones that prosecuted the ones who didn't do it. Let's get into this.
It helped me to remember, the research I was doing, some of the things I was working on before all this started. And with the contract stalking, it's set up in such a way to where it's a network that does it. And, my feeling on it is I don't know who the sick, twisted individuals are that appropriate funds for people to do that. I don't know who they are. I'm not afraid of the people. I don't know what they are, who they are, or where they claim to get the authority for it. But, I'm just happy to be speaking on it and sharing my story and helping people. One of the other disrespectful type of things is they pay people and hire people to do this sort of stuff. And a lot of people don't even know what's going on. They're just being they say, go stand on this corner and you have to watch this house or watch this person. And the people don't know what's going on. They're participating in an overall network that's doing this to one individual or a group of individuals, and they're not aware of the full implications of what their activity is involved in. And so, you know, I think it's going to be much better for me to speak in a group setting, you know, as an educator.
World War II, black men died at Pearl Harbor. Black men died in Guadalcanal, in the Solomon Islands, in the Philippines, at Iwo Jima. Black men died in North Africa fighting the Germans. Black men died at Anzio Beach, at Palermo, at Naples, to free Rome, to free Paris, to free Europe. Damn it! Yeah. We died to build America. And America has rebuilt Germany and Japan. And the nigger is still suffering and dying in the streets of America.
Yeah, man. It's Geeking News Network. Your boy Fetty Lotto here with another one. Better than the other one. I'm out of here.
Let's get straight to it. I can hear my mama now. Go on, baby, pop your shit. I can hear my mama now. Go on, baby, pop your shit. I can hear my brother right now. Fuck them niggas, talk that shit. Old gossiping ass niggas, what y'all out here gossiping about today? Since y'all love pocket watching, nigga, I did a 200 ball today.